Welcome to our second episode of the Performance Collective podcast. In this episode, we're going to explore the key to achieving goals and how the lessons we learn as being child athletes and the sacrifices and habits we learn from being an athlete, and how this helps us in our everyday life, building our career, our business, and both competing as master athletes. At the time of recording this, I've just celebrated 16 years of being a PT and 10 years of having the Darcy Fitness studio, and along with my own running training. And Kristian has 25 years plus of working as an NHS dietitian and competing as a cyclist. We're going to discuss what motivates us, what keeps us performing, and what keeps us working in the industry, and overcoming any obstacles that are sent to us.
So did you think all those years ago you'd still be doing this?
No. I mean, my mum always laughs because me being a personal trainer, because at school I was a competitive swimmer and hated PE, absolutely hated running. So whenever the opportunity to get out of PE, I was getting the same. My swimming coach said, I've got races. So when I first set up working as a personal trainer, my goal was to have a studio in 5 years, which I did within 6 years because I kind of digressed and was a regional PT manager. And I suppose when I opened this 10 years ago, I didn't really know how long it'd last. It was a bit of a go on a whim. I wanted to do it. Let's see what happens, and it's been a journey, really.
So what's your motivation? Just want to give it a go and see where we end up?
I think, yeah, and just to I had had enough of working in commercial gyms, and I didn't feel like I was probably giving enough to my clients working as a regional PT manager. And I think 10 years ago, I was just like, I need to come out of the commercial industry and set up an environment where people would feel safe to train. That's why there's no mirrors in here, because a lot of people, and it was a bit of like, well, let's see where it goes.
So I suppose working in the corporate world is very much a box ticking exercise sometimes, and sometimes did you feel that perhaps the client was secondary to it all, or
Definitely, definitely once, because I was working as a PT, and I was doing like 30 PT sessions a week. I had some work with British Gas as well, and then so this was all through Fitness First. We got took over by Lifestyle Fitness, and then they asked me to be the PT manager of the Leicester gym, which was all right actually, because I was just still within the gym and I felt like I was giving my clients what they needed, as well as helping PTs in that gym and mentoring them and helping them build their business. But when I went into regional, it just felt like I was neglecting my clients, because it might be an issue with one of the clubs in Chesterfield that I was working with, and I'd have to rearrange my clients to go and sort an issue out there. So, and I just felt like you were charging a PT rate, but actually you might plan a session, but somebody else is on the machines that you want, or the weights. So I just felt that I wasn't giving what I wanted to my clients, and having my own studio would allow me to develop myself and develop all the things that I wanted to with clients that probably being in a commercial world was stopping me doing.
Yeah, and I think that's important, really, isn't it? Seeing the pitfalls of big business, and I think this is a problem. Isn't it? I imagine that the companies you work for, when they set out, they had the same ideals as you. But I think as you get bigger and bigger, the ideals start to get diluted down. And I suppose you seeing these shortcomings allowed you to see what you really wanted, what you felt clients deserved, really, if they're paying a fee.
Yeah, and like when I first started, I only had the small studio, and then we opened this bigger studio that we're sat in now, 6 months after opening the small one, which was probably, that was a risk. But I knew I wanted to grow, and mum and dad, had their own business. When this come up, 6 months, dad was like, we'll take it on because your business is going to grow. And I think that's probably where I've got a lot of my business mindset, is from seeing my mum and dad grow their business. And I know from an early age, I always said I wanted my own business, but I didn't quite know what it was. So to go, I think, like 16 years ago, when I was working as a play specialist and things were changing then, and Dad said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to be a PT and I want to have my own business." So not really looked back since.
And do you feel the principles that you set out with are still there?
Yeah, because my main principles were I want to help people achieve their goals, and whether that's sports performance, health, and I still think that is my core value. Okay, you've got to earn the money to pay bills and my rent and things of here and living, but my core value still stays. I want to help people achieve their goals.
So that's what, is that what motivates you then to keep things going?
Yeah.
So obviously you've had a bigger premises from when you first started.
Yeah.
And has that been the main development, or have there been other things, other aspects to your skill set?
So since I started here, we've opened this business, we've started the podcast, we've got the Performance Collective. I think one of the biggest, not that it doesn't matter working with normal runners, but working with some GB athletes that that I felt quite proud. Not that I don't feel proud of my other ones, but that was sort of, I think, a key moment into knowing that I am sort of learning and developing to be able to work with elite athletes. So yeah, we've also had sports massage in here. We've developed the wellbeing days that we've done together, the performance days that are coming. So there's a lot on top.
So looking at sort of aspects to help you achieve your goals to move forward, is that working with elite athletes, does that help give that extra bit of edge to help with the clients that are just in it for fitness?
I think so, a little bit. It did give me that edge, and I think I'm quite a diverse PT, that I can work with an elite athlete, but then I can work with a very beginner, and my training for each client is very different. There's no workout of the day.
And so whether you're an elite athlete or not, coming to you, do you feel that your client gets the same quality of service?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether they're a beginner, here for weight loss, mental health, or whether they're an elite athlete. Everybody is getting the same treatment. And I think I've got clients that have been with me. Who's my longest standing client? Definitely got clients that have been with me for 10 years, over 10 years.
Yeah. And I think it's important, isn't it? It's the elite athletes, maybe the elite athletes, but actually I think you get as much satisfaction out of training any level.
Anybody,
and I think it's probably more important sometimes at the level where they're not the elite athletes. And I sometimes think you get more from that, really. Certainly what I do within the NHS, I could work in private practice and see clients of very different levels, but I feel it's important everybody should have access to good quality care and treatment.
Yeah, and I think that's why there's different. You can pay for your personal training one-to-one, but then I also have the small group training, but they're still very small, so you're still getting that feel of personal training. But if you can't afford the one-to-one, then there is that access. So I'm trying to make everything accessible for everybody, whether you can afford one-to-one or
I think that's important too, because health shouldn't be a price as such. And if it was like that all the time, then we're going to get such differences between the health of the population. It's keeping that equity across the board, isn't it, as much as we can.
And I feel like even if you come to a group class, I don't feel you're getting, other than you've not got that personal one-to-one, I'm still the same as a group when it's a group as I am for my one-to-ones. And I think the groups as well, I think because of my ethos of everybody should have health and access to it and feel comfortable, I think it doesn't matter whether you've got someone that's a lot stronger or a lot quicker in the groups. I feel like all of my groups, everyone just empowers each other. And I think that's the kind of ethos I want as well. Like the community.
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I as a cyclist and runner as a secondary thing, I don't do classes as such. And as you've seen from when I've now been coming to your strength and conditioning class, the coordination isn't the best. But me and certain others in the group that perhaps don't have that coordination, you give us that little bit of time to show us how to do the lifts or whatever correctly. And so it is, even though you've got another 5 people in the group, your time's split quite nicely between everybody, so you feel some level of development.
And I hope I try and do it so that people don't feel intimidated, but and that's what you're coming for. I am a bit of a stickler on technique because I don't want people to get injured.
Tell me about it. I cannot do a deadlift. I'm
trying. We will get there.
I'm trying, honestly.
We will get you there. I think I know what it is, but
yeah. And I know I've not done them stretching exercises just yet. So, but anyway, I mean, I've not done. You gave me some stretching exercises last week to do, and I'm pretty good at stretching as a rule. But when it's so hot, I'm struggling with the motivation to get home and start stretching after I've cycled home from work. But
I think when people are struggling with motivation, it's kind of like tagging a habit onto a habit. So, I don't know, do you just after you've done your cycle, do you put music on, do you listen to something, do you listen to it
I have my little rituals when I get home from work, really. It's usually putting music on, and
so that could be your time when you're putting that music on. I'm going to tag that onto doing my stretches.
But I think it's like everything, it's forming new habits. Breaking old habits is hard, forming new habits is hard as well. And you're absolutely right, it has to become a routine. In the morning, I get up to go to work. I put my cycling kit on. Automatically. I don't think, should I drive? Should I go on my bike? I just get my bike out.
Is your cycling kit ready?
Well, no, it's just, and I know where it is. It's not like I'm not one of these people that has to set everything up the night before. I just know where things are and I get it, and that's it. But the point is that it's a habit. I get on the bike when I ride to work, and it's a habit I've been doing for so long that it doesn't really cross my mind unless the weather's really lousy of getting the car. And I think this is what you're saying, really, is making things a habit that just becomes part of your life. You've got to be careful it doesn't overtake your life a little bit, and but it has to be part of what you do.
Yeah. And I think we've both sort of trained from an early age. I know it was 7 when I first started competing swimming. I think you said you were sort of teenage, but I think some of those habits that we create then probably have helped us.
Yeah, well, I think so. And again, I think you started from a younger age than me. If I'm honest with you, I was a bit of a useless child. I wasn't sporty. I couldn't catch a ball. At school for my era.
Hopeless at anything like that.
Yeah, no coordination.
That's why I swim.
Yeah, and that's why I ride a bike and run. But I wasn't the kid that was a sporty kid. I was the unsporty kid.
Yeah.
And one of the last 2 kids to get picked at football, and I just didn't enjoy these sports, which is why I've got no interest in them now. School, when I was growing up, football, cricket, rugby, and that was your lot. And so for me, sport wasn't anything. And then I discovered cycling at 14, and the good thing with cycling is you get out, you see countryside, you can get and it just took me, and it changed. I don't want to sound Mr. Cliche, even though I often do have cliches, but it changed my life. It changed my thoughts on how to achieve things in life. Really, it made you realise, first of all, with sport, you've got to find that sport that you enjoy, that you have a passion for. And trying to hold on to sports that you did at school that you were mediocre at, but you weren't that keen, but it's what you know, isn't always the right thing to do. And you've got to do what interests you. And if you don't do that, it's going to be hard to form new habits. But once you find that activity that motivates you to get out and do these things, it becomes easy. And that's what I found with cycling. It became easy because I got a kick out of it. And that's another important thing. It's focusing, what are you getting out of what you do? And sometimes the motivation to get up in the morning to get out is, especially in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
But you've got to have that focus to go, I know how I'm going to feel in 2 hours' time when I finish the ride. Even when I'm out on the ride, it's how you're going to feel then. And you're going to be buzzing from it.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing about finding that activity that you enjoy.
And I think also, like you said, getting out in the morning or getting out in the winter as runners, cyclists, it's tough, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I say that it's tough getting out in these 32-degree temperatures as well. But I think without a goal, it's hard to focus on that. I think one of the things I have is daily process goals, because some of our goals can seem overwhelming when you want to achieve something, but it's not where you are right now. But having those daily process goals helps you tick it off and keeps motivated. And I think probably even so with my running, I have daily process goals, and maybe with my business as well. Like we've been making changes recently to bring the performance collective in, the group, more group training, the workshops we're going to be working on. There's things I've got to do each day to keep the business running.
Yeah.
I'm not a to-do list. I can see it as daily goals.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting because we have a slightly different outlook on things a little bit, because I'm not sure I have. It's a tricky one. I'm a little bit old school, and there's all these terminologies nowadays, like having daily goals or whatever.
Yeah.
And I never really, I don't live my life that way. I just know what I enjoy doing and what I'd like to be achieving.
Yeah.
And then that's always there in the background. So different people have different ways of working. I'm not sure I could sit there having a daily goal. And for some people that works a treat, but for some people it doesn't. And so it's, you can try one thing. If it doesn't work, look at something else. But my motivation is, it's a tricky one. What's my motivation with the sport? Just, I don't race every year, so I can't even say that it's all about racing. It's just, I think there's an inner part of me that just enjoys being fit and healthy. And it comes down to that. It's a little bit, I'm a dietitian, so perhaps I should talk about the food aspect of things more than the sport. But they're all part of what I do. And I enjoy the fitness that comes with me cycling and me running. And I get a kick out of that, whether I'm racing or not. I don't need a race to target to get me out. I just enjoy the fitness and just the stimulation of being out and about. And then also the aspect of eating well. What's the motivation there? Oh, should I eat well because I've got a race coming up? No, I eat well because it's what we should do. And it's that long-term health that we're looking at, really. I always have this little bit of a mantra of, and my kids used to get sick of hearing it when I was little, the short-term pain, long-term gain.
Yeah.
And that's how you need to look at life. There's no point just going for short-term goals all the time or short-term aims. We've got to have that long-term view of what you want to be, really. And so, again, whether a daily goals works for you or just an overall look on life, of what you're wanting to be. Do you want to be this slob that struggles to walk up some stairs, or do you want to be somebody that walks up the stairs all the time? I work in a hospital. There's 6 flights of stairs. I don't get the lift unless it's a lucky day and the lift's already there on the ground floor when I'm ready to go. But I walk the stairs, and you see people 1 flight of stairs and they're struggling. They get the lift. It's like, oh, come on. I'd hate to be like that.
Yeah.
And I'd hate to be at the point where I'm needing tablets to look after my health.
Yeah.
I want to look after my health by me and not through other people. So for me, my motivation long term, even though I don't have regular goals as such, it's about just looking after myself and being healthy and fit and being able to do things.
Yeah.
I'd hate to ever get to the point where I'm a granddad and I can't do things with the grandkids if ever that came about. I want to be the one that's, come on, let's go and do this. Let's walk up a mountain. And that's what motivates me.
What motivates you, like with you? So, as a dietitian.
Yeah, well,
you've done it for like 25 years.
Yeah, so genuinely, it's helping people. I think I always have this fear: if a patient comes to see me in a clinic environment, do they walk out going, that was useful?
Yeah.
I hate the thought that someone takes time out of their day and they go, what a waste of time, weren't it? That's because it is easy to do that. People can just be very textbook sometimes and don't do that. Do that extra bit of reading to give a bit extra to the patients. And yes, you can sometimes, if you wanted to, overcomplicate something. But I'd like to think I don't overcomplicate things, but people walk out going, that was useful. I've picked something up. This will help me with my day-to-day life. And so I think that's really my motivation, is just having some level of impact on people's lives, really, that it makes them think about some change. You don't get me wrong. I've seen many clients in the past where you're not going to get anywhere with them. And whatever you say makes no difference. But as long as I feel I've given my all and given all the information that could make the difference, how they use that is very different. And yes, you could argue your motivational skills need to improve if they're not going to make the change. But there are some people out there that need that reinforcement all the time. And I suppose this is one of the problems with the NHS in some respects, is you don't get enough reviews to maintain that. And, I very rarely deal with patients for weight loss,
right,
because weight loss really does come from seeing somebody all the time. You need that regular visit. And if you don't have that, and this is a problem in the NHS, if you're only seeing someone every 3 months, you can't motivate them in the same way. And in some respects, this is why I get a little bit more pleasure from the inpatients, because you're making little changes all the time that you can see the outcomes. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of outpatients that we see where the advice you give is used. But really, the main thing for me is trying to have an impact on people's lives, trying to give them the best, most up-to-date information, which is what motivates me to do the reading, read that little bit extra, do that little bit extra work, just so a patient comes along and they've got the best information possible to try to make them make changes to improve their life.
And do you think that helps you like overcome obstacles that, if you might get a difficult client or someone that's not sort of achieving what you felt you wanted them to achieve, or obstacles in your training, like if you get injured, do you think like these key elements that you've got in help you to...
Yeah, and I think, a lot of what we do, whether it's personal training or dietary advice, it's psychology. I often think as a dietitian, I often think we should be psychologists rather than anything else. And I'm a little bit of an amateur psychologist. I find it a fascinating area. I'm a big people watcher, and I like to make judgments on people. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right. But it's nice to try to, you got to be careful with a bit of amateur psychology. It's like anything. An amateur nutritionist can do more harm than someone that knows what they're doing. And so always, you've got to be a little bit careful. But it is satisfying when you have somebody that's quite resistant to do things. And as time goes on, if you word things correctly, you can make it seem like it's their idea, and it helps give them the motivation then to try to make changes. So I think it is a psychological game.
Definitely, and I see that with a lot of my clients. It's just like you say, we can't do psychology because we're not psychologists, but there's certain things that I've learned how to speak to clients, or even talk about your own experiences that might be similar to what they're going through. I do think I see a lot of my clients on a weekly basis, and over the years, you go through so many different things with your clients. You sort of become a little bit of a therapist in a session.
Yeah. And really, a lot of therapy is listening. And sometimes, and that's all that matters a lot of the time. It's listening, giving people time to either offload or and sometimes it's just rephrasing things back to them, and it makes people click. This is what I need to do. It's the more people you come across on a day-to-day basis, the more you understand people. And I think you can't get away from that. Years and years of experience tells you that how to read someone to some extent, and how to help them as best as you can. And I think you touched on this briefly a moment ago about how sometimes your own experiences. And I think what's really important is clients need to know that we're not perfect. It's like I often use my children when they were growing up as examples of what kids are like. I'm a dietitian. Can I say that my kids would say their favourite food is lettuce? Of course not. If anyone had asked my kids when they were little what the favourite food was, chicken nuggets, McDonald's, I'm not one of these dietitians, we will not touch this food. We'd go to McDonald's, but it wouldn't be that regular. They'd probably go with grandparents more than they did with me. It might be a couple of times a year, but they did go, and they enjoyed it. And so you ask them what the favourite meal is, chicken nuggets. Like, what? Why don't you say something better than that? But anyway, this is how it is. It doesn't matter who you are, certainly where kids are concerned, they will do what they want to do, no matter how much you try to steer them. But also, we're not perfect as well. People think, oh, just because I'm a dietitian, I don't eat chocolate, or I don't drink beer, or I don't whatever. I do have these things, but it's about the moderation, and people need to know that we have the same obstacles in our way most of the time. we've just had years of trying to get over these obstacles and make things as normal part of everyday life, really. But it doesn't mean to say that we never have a desire to go to the chip shop or never have a desire to eat something that we shouldn't be eating.
Yeah, and I think like being able to relate to the clients allows them to help. I think it helps them achieve their goals because they know that we're not perfect. And I think like I used to not turn up to races where clients might be in case they didn't have a perfect race, but actually me not having a perfect race makes it relatable to runners that are trained because not every race is perfect. But I used to have this like, oh, I can't turn up because if I've not had a good race, what are people going to think of me as a client? But actually now I think it helps them know that I can relate to them and how I've overcome bad races. Or
well, do the best athletes become the best coaches? I'm not convinced that's always the case, and I think that's important as well. Is that just because you achieve something doesn't mean to say that you have the skills for other people. You can relate in some aspects of things, but it doesn't help the broad range of people out there, really. And certainly, an elite athlete trains somebody that's not an elite athlete. They're on a very different wavelength, possibly.
100%.
But even training another elite athlete, I'm not sure you have to do that. And I think having an interest, I think that's the key thing, is having an interest in what you do. Because if you've got a genuine interest in what you do, you'll do that extra little bit of reading, you'll do that extra little bit of work.
It's having that knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's what's going to make you the better coach. So having a view of, right, as you just said, that you didn't want to do the same race as your clients. The expectation shouldn't be you're going to win everything. Because what we've got to look at, I think, is that when you're doing high level sports, well, any sport really, it isn't healthful. It's too much. When I'm out training, sometimes doing interval sessions, I'm taking my heart up to 190 beats a minute. As a 54-year-old, it's quite a high amount. Is that good for me? The only thing that I think it tells me it's not bad is because I've been doing it since I was 15. But it isn't good for you. And that lower level is what's good for you. So actually, your client should be looking at the overall. It's about, is that person overall healthy? And what does healthy mean? It doesn't mean running a 10K in 30 minutes. It means functioning and having longevity, really. And that's what health becomes. So I think clients should look that actually we're here just for health. We're not here for elite levels. It's about you making the most of you with your constraints in life always considered. If you've got 2 kids, you can't be training as much as somebody without any children. So we need that overall. Well, it's a holistic approach, really, isn't it? It's that whole picture there, and making it clear what are your objectives. And most people's objectives are, I just want to be healthy. I enjoy going for a run. I enjoy going for a bike ride, and that's what is the most important aspect of any training program, I feel.
Definitely. And I think like if I started to try and train my clients how I train, I don't think I'd have half my clients. And I would not, obviously some people are training at the same sort of level, but I don't really talk about my training unless a client asks. And I think that motivates me as well. And it keeps me within that goal of I'm here to look after my clients and help them achieve their goals. It's not about me. And it's interesting, one of the ladies that's just started the performance collective group training, she's tried a few different groups and she said that this one is making her feel like she belongs in the group. And one of the things that appealed is that I'm not on my Facebook with my abs out or constantly what my training is, because now I know what your training is, that would completely put me off. So I think that does motivate me to keep it about the clients, and it's not about me, it's about me helping people, and that will always be my core value.
Your own training plan is irrelevant to the majority of people, really. And I think
but I think that dedication in training, I do feel that is one of my keys to the success of the business, is because I am, you've known me quite a while, I'm quite a determined person. If I try and set out to do something, I'll do everything I can. But I think having that structure has helped me keep the business going, because the business has a structure like my training plan does, and I just keep the end goal in sight. and just keep developing.
And I suppose this is one of the key things with doing sport, really, at whatever level, really, is that you often see an outcome of the effort put into it. And sometimes in life, with business, with work, it's sometimes hard to see the outcome, really. But when you do sport, if you know you're going to do a race of any level, no matter what level you're at, whether you're doing a 10K at 30 minutes or one at 50 minutes, it's knowing that you have trained to the best of your ability, and you'll see the outcomes just naturally evolved. And it highlights, and I think this is one of the things for me, really, because I left school with no qualifications, and it was only really when I got into cycling that I started to realise the more effort I put into the bike, the better I become. So the outcomes are better. It made me realise about studying. For me, and again, not everybody wants to study or go to uni, but for studying, the harder I study, the better my grades, and the more I'll achieve. And I think that's one of the good things with sports. It just gives you that focus of work hard, get benefits. And it's all about working to the best of your ability, because everyone has a different ability. I know, I had an attempt to be a professional cyclist when I was younger, but now when I look back, I realise actually I didn't have that inner talent. And I know that sounds a negative thing to say, but when you look at people that are making it in that high level and the professional levels, they're above and beyond. And it's possible I might have made it to a lower level professional team or whatever. Wouldn't have lasted. I wouldn't have got to the highlights of winning a tour stage or something like that. But it's now when I look back that I realise that I achieved what I could do for my natural ability, and everybody has to work to their natural ability. There are people out there that are never going to run. I don't want to sound negative. Never run a 30-minute 10K, and lots of people don't want to run at that level. But there's a good chance someone doing a 50-minute 10K gets more satisfaction out of that than an elite runner doing a 30-minute 10K. And that's the key thing in all of this that people need to be aware of, is their motivations. And to be honest with you, no one really cares whether you do 30 minutes or 50 minutes. Because people, if you've got nice people around you, similar mindset, they're pleased for you, just doing a time you're happy with. And I think that's another really important thing, that everything you do, you have to do for you, not what you think other people are thinking of you. It's about what you want to do and what you want to achieve, because nobody really cares except you.
Yeah, and I think you've just touched on it about those key people around you. I do think that's really important in your personal life, in your business, in your sporting careers, having those people around you that are uplifting you, empowering you, giving you the knowledge, giving the experience to be what you want to be, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your training or in your personal life, really. I feel like, I don't know, I think sometimes you get to that age where you just want to remove negative. But I know I've got key people in my life that I'll turn to for different things, and I'm very privileged. I've got some really supportive people around me, and I think that is important for everyone, is finding those people. That I've got people that help me with my nutrition, my food, like exercise, people that help me with my business, and then friends. You've got to have that good circle of people around you.
Yeah, and I think behind every successful person there's a successful support network, really. And I think this is going to sound a little bit misogynistic, really, because it's a bit of an 80s phrase, really, but they used to always say, because back in the day, I appreciate things are different now, but back in the day it tended to be the men that were always in business at the high levels, and they used to always say behind every powerful man is a powerful woman. And that's true, and I'm not saying it has to be that way around. The point I'm making is it's having a support network around you. I think the starting point has to come from you. Without a doubt, 100%, has to come from you. But without that support around you, then it makes it harder to achieve what you want to achieve.
And I do think, especially with the business, like, I run it on my own day to day, and sometimes that can be tough. But having those like business mentors around me, or even people that I can speak to about different clients if I might have a concern, or accountant, I couldn't do everything on my own. And I think as the business has developed, I've had to get people in to help me. And I love my personal training. I don't want to be sat doing my accounts, so I just send that all off to an accountant now, because that's probably one of my weaknesses, is that not my finances, but just sitting at a computer doing spreadsheets.
Yeah,
I'd rather be training someone.
Yeah, but I think lots of people do business, but there's aspects of it they don't want to do, and they get other people in to do that. And I suppose that's how big businesses develop. They get specialists in to support them, really. And so yeah, I don't think that's abnormal to have aspects of things you don't like. I have aspects of my job that I find, do I have to do that? And it's tedious, but you just have to do it. And unfortunately, my job, I can't get someone else to do it in the NHS because we're in that luxury. But if you're in a position to be able to get someone to do those tedious jobs, you get them in to do.
I just think time-wise as well. I just can't. As the business has developed, I can't do everything on my own, and that's probably been a bit of a learning for me and an obstacle to overcome, because I think I am quite an independent person and I want to do everything on my own, but learning that actually I can't, because it will break me, because I haven't got lots of hours, So I have learned over the years to outsource things.
Yeah, and again, another important aspect that we have to think about with everything, whether it's business, whether it's training, is it's got to be sustainable.
Yeah.
I often think, I often do the same sort of training all the time, and it's just the way I tick over with what I do. And I think I could put in that little bit extra for a few months to perhaps win a few more races, perhaps. But I can't sustain it. And I think that's important. You've got to do things. Are you happy with being at a level where, you could do that a little bit better, but I know it's going to be short term. Now, I've been doing this for 30 odd years. Your motivation gets a little bit harder to maintain to some extent. But the reason I keep ticking over all this time is because it's sustainable. It's part of what I do. It's part of my life. And certainly doing that other thing, we all make some level of sacrifice, but I always think, what is a sacrifice if you're doing what you enjoy? But I think sometimes it's not thinking, right, if I do this is what I'll get 30 seconds off my 10K time. And that's great. But can you still be doing that in 6 months' time? Or is it just for 2 months' time? And okay, you could argue it's good to have a little peaks and troughs here and there. And some people like that. But you might burn out if it's not sustainable, and if there's other things in life that are important that you start to neglect. So whatever we do, it's knowing what your ability is, working to that ability, and having longevity in whatever you do.
Do you think you have, like, on your daily basis, do you have things you have to do? It's got to happen. I know how I like the word non-negotiables, and I have them, but
and it's interesting. Before we started, you're saying about this non-negotiables thing, and I wasn't quite sure what that meant. I know what negotiable means, but I don't really think like that. But I suppose when we did have a little discussion about that. What is a non-negotiable? I suppose mine is just eating healthily. I mean, don't get me wrong. Someone brings some cake or biscuits in at work, and I'll have some, or you do that. But the principles of what I'm doing is I eat regularly, breakfast, lunch, evening meal. My non-negotiables are just eating healthily most of the time. This is the odd time when I get chippy, as I said on the first podcast. The odd time, it's an infrequent, but it's about doing these things. Doesn't mean to say enjoy my food less by, again, people's perception. People go, oh, why don't you get chippy all the time? It's nice. It's all right, but I like cooking. I cook healthy food. And if you cook nicely, and you know how to cook, and take a bit of time out to learn to cook, the flavors you can have outdo fish and chips 10 times over. So it's not that I'm eating bland food all the time. It's about eating correctly and putting the flavors in there. So I still enjoy my food, and that's really important. Actually enjoying what you eat. And healthy eating has changed over the years, in the sense that there's such a broad range of foods that we have out there nowadays. But I suppose my non-negotiable is healthy eating. I do exercise most days, but if I miss a day, I don't feel guilty, because you need days off, you need downtime, and so I think that's my main thing. I just want to, by and large, eat good food. I suppose the other thing is good food, eating good food. I have an issue a little bit with how health is perceived in the way the food industry steers you, and it's about eating properly. People might be surprised that a lot of the time I eat white bread, but I eat good white bread without the chemicals in it. I'd rather someone eat a loaf of bread made from 4 ingredients than a so-called healthy seeded brown bread, sourdough, blah blah blah, all the catchphrases that everyone looks out for, that's going to sit in your cupboard and last 2 weeks because it's got so many other chemicals in. So I suppose it's a combination of healthy eating and good food. That's perhaps my non-negotiable. You know, if someone buys a cheap nasty cake from the supermarket, I can easily say I don't want that. But if someone's made a cake, I'm more than happy to have that because it's the quality and there's not the rubbish in it that gets put in.
Yeah, and I think for me, I train people all day, but I feel like one of my non-negotiables, and I do have my rest days, but it is my training. I fit my training in because not just the physical benefits of it, it just helps me mentally as well. But one of my rituals is, and it is a non-negotiable, at the end of the day, 10 minutes with my LED mask on and doing a bit of meditation. So I bought this bought this LED mask for my birthday last year, which is meant to help your skin rejuvenate and all of this. And I do it every night, 10 minutes, just before I go to bed, because I feel it kind of like winds me down. So yeah, I just think having a bit of quality downtime as well, which is probably quite a new thing for me to bring in. I'm not very good at relaxing, so maybe that, like I spoke about earlier, tagging a habit onto a habit. So I'll always take my makeup off before I go to bed. But then maybe I used to be scrolling on my phone a little bit, but I put this mask on, phone's away. So I kind of like brought that in to help a bit of relaxation.
Yeah, and I think that's important, isn't it? I think most people, if you're going to talk about non-negotiables, it's a little bit of time for yourself, and I think we often forget that. It's finding that time, and I suppose it's how people define what is time for themselves.
Yeah,
some people
because everyone's self-care is going to be different.
Yeah, and if it means watching something on the TV, but we need that time of just sometimes just being alone with your own thoughts, or sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not a good thing. But I think having some element of doing something for you on a daily basis, even if it is just for 10 minutes, is important.
And do you think like the key to a success, whether that's in business, training, career, is having all of these principles that we spoke about today? So looking after yourself, your health, your nutrition, having that team around you, and I think always keeping that core value.
Yeah, I think there is that, but I think having a passion.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing. Sometimes in my day job, but some of the things that I'm saying or doing, it's like I think, oh blimey, I say the same thing all the time. But then you get a patient, a client comes along with a bit more of an interest, and all of a sudden the passion for what you do, the knowledge comes out. And I think without a passion, all of these other things would never work. And you can tell who's passionate about the work. And I was watching something on the television the other day, and it was some girl that was lady was into a bird watching. She came just to identify some birds on a farm, whatever. And you could see a passion for what she did. And I find that so important, no matter what it is in life, having that passion for what you do. And if you have a passion for what you do, it doesn't make it such hard work. And I think that's probably the most important thing. We need to have a passion for what you do.
And I don't ever feel like I'm coming to work. Unless you put me in front of my spreadsheets, and then it would be. Indeed, but I feel like you say, having that passion, having that desire, and keeping those core values. So if you've enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next podcast.